What's up, chat gang? The magical Mr. Mephisto here, the purple-haired wizard of the airwaves, as it were. Just wanted to come at you with the announcement, more details on the announcement to start this PC Blood Bowl League for Blood Bowl 2, the Steam game that we've kind of talked about during a RantCast. We've been talking about on Twitter and stuff like that. So it is open to everybody to join. There's a sign-up form I will go ahead and link down below. You have until August 16th at, noon to sign up for that. So about a week to get signed up if you're interested. You will, of course, need to have a PC version of Blood Bowl 2. It's available on Steam. There is what's called a Legendary Edition, but that just kind of gives you access to the other teams. So, if you want to play Khemri, you gotta buy that as an expansion. Otherwise, if you're like, hey, I'm just gonna play humans, whatever. I personally have the Legendary Edition so that I have access to all the teams if I need them, but I will be playing the Necromantic Undead for purposes of this league. Now, we're going to essentially do like a pools stage with the league, which is every week. You'll have one week until Sunday at 8 p.m. It's going to kick off, basically the schedule will get posted Sunday night. You'll have a week then to play your match against your opponent, arrange, the league is open internationally, but keeping in mind a lot of us are in the U.S., so you're going to want to have a U.S.-friendly schedule or be willing to, sacrifice your sleep if you're in the UK or something like that to get in your Blood Bowl game. So you'll have a week to get in your Blood Bowl game. We will have as many rounds in that sort of initial pools stage as we have opponents or as we have players. So it's going to be round robin. Everyone's going to play everybody once. There is talk if we get too many, we might have to do like a conference system, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In any case, all the rules are in the link I'll be posting down below. It's just a little Google Doc put together by Frank and Brendan to kind of outline what your expectation should be and what the particulars are going to look like. I'm actually joined right now by Frank to kind of help me talk about sort of building your team. If you're interested in joining this league. So when you go ahead and you sign up, you're going to have this little Google Doc sheet, little questionnaire. It's going to ask your name. That should be obvious. It's going to ask you your coach name. Now, your coach name, when you actually install Blood Bowl, it's going to set up your coach name. It might be your Steam name. It might not be. Mine, for instance, is Mr. Space Mephisto. That's my coach name. It's also one of the handles you can look me up on Steam with, because Steam's weird. From there, it'll ask you your team name. Now, your team name is going to be specific. So if you're like the shit kickers, you need the in your title, right? Like you have to have the in this questionnaire if you use it in the game to design your team. What race is your team? That species team. You could be playing ogres. There's a few different undead. There's actually like the Khemri undead, which are the Tomb Kings. There's standard undead. There's necromantic undead. There's actual full-on vampires as a team. So those are all four different distinct teams. In my case, I put down necromantic. Frank here put down undead because he's the sort of the default undead might be the nice way of putting it.
Shambling undead is what they're known as, I think.
The shambling undead, right on. And you'll find that these teams all have corollaries to the tabletop game. In fact, Blood Bowl, the PC edition, is... it's using a little bit older rule set because they've had some updates to the game since the tabletop game since this game came out. But you are playing essentially a direct port of the tabletop game. It's rolling. It's just doing the rolling for you. It's kind of like how KOTOR is based on a D20 system, and it's just doing the math in the background. You even have feats, and dual wielding was busted in the original KOTOR, as I recall, by not giving you the penalty on your offhand weapons. But that was fun. What race, and then what's your Discord name? Because we're going to be coordinating. Discord has some really, really handy features for like being able to like hang out, play your games with each other. You can also screen share. And this is going to be relevant for me because every Monday I'm going to pick a featured matchup amongst the pools pairings and do a featured matchup live on Twitch every week. So Monday night, you're going to have a healthy dose of Blood Bowl. It's a really great way to kind of stick together as a community, even through isolation and despite great distance. We want to play tabletop games constantly. This is a really great port of a tabletop game. You're missing that face-to-face camaraderie, but the rest of that experience is there, and it's even got some cool animations for stuff to get murdered. Again, the rules and the sign-up sheet will be linked below. If you're interested in signing up, go ahead, do that. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. I'm looking for a diverse palette of folk to interact and play with. I think this is going to be a great experience for the community. Anything to add to that? Anything I missed in that first step there, Frank?
For so good. Just make sure that when you're entering all of your information that it is exactly as you have written it. It's the only way we're going to be able to get you into the league. Right.
And so now you can actually see on my screen I have the interface for Blood Bowl 2. Again, in my case, I've got the Legendary Edition. And what that means is, so you can see here, campaign. This is like your story mode. Play in a league. We'll get to that shortly. Friendly match, if you're just going to try to scrimmage, essentially, brush up. Challenges, need fun little replay value. But what you're going to do if you've just bought Blood Bowl, you're just now looking to join our league, you're going to go to this team and league management, right? You're going to click on that. You can see my team here, the Scream Bay Hackers. I'm at 1,000 team value, which is the level we're playing at. This is like your points in Warhammer. We're essentially playing 1,000-point teams. You are going to go over, not create mixed team, but rather create a team, right? So we're going to click on create a team. I do have that Legendary Edition, so I have access to all of the teams here. Go through, find one that you dig on. Dark Elves, pretty brutal, but I kind of landed on Dark Elves here. You've got a skill level down below. Your skill level, if you've played video games, I mean, this is synonymous with just any video game. Every hero in League of Legends has a skill quality they mention. Every fighter in Street Fighter says, like, hey, you need to be this good to really maximize it. This is the same thing. Dark Elves are 4 stars. They're really aggressive. They're really good with the ball, but they get punished hard when you start smashing them. So they're a little bit more of a finesse team. In contrast, you have ogres, which have a 5-star rating. It's awesome because you get to play with 6 ogres, but ogres are slow, and they have a chance to not act on your turn if you roll a 1 on a d6 before they do anything. And the rest of your team is all Noblars, and they're made out of paper mache. They just explode.
They are the lowest strength player in the game, so watch out for that.
Yeah. So, just real quick, Frank, what are just the spread of some teams and just kind of like what? I think they've done a great job of kind of, if you played tabletop Blood Bowl, this is going to all look very, very familiar to you. In fact, it's going to be virtually identical just an edition ago. If you're coming over from Age of Sigmar, though, they've done some good jobs of like ogres feeling like ogres in the game. Undead feeling like undead in the game, and that they get regen and have like a little necromancer ability and stuff like that. So all the teams, you want to just give a zoomed out view of like, what elves are generally about, what's,
Sure.
Yeah,
so you can kind of categorize certain teams into like, do they handle the ball or do they hit you? That's like the 2 basic building blocks of a Blood Bowl team. So if you want a fast team that can punch, hey, Dark Elves seems like a pretty good option. You want something a little more tankier, Dwarves is as tanky as it can get. Every team has their own strengths and weaknesses. I will say there are 3 teams that are intentionally designed to be bad on purpose. They are a lot of fun to play, but they are very challenging to win with. Those are the Ogres, the Goblins, and the Halflings. They have little tricks here and there to help them out, but those teams are specifically designed to be bad. So keep that in mind when selecting your team. You'll have a blast with them, but it's going to be very difficult to get that win.
Right. So yeah, you've got like your sort of, your Lizardmen, your Norse. Some of these are expansion teams. Like I said, you can buy the base game and just the expansion team if that's all you're interested in. There's your core undead, right? So you just necromantic. That's what I'm rocking. Nurgle is pretty brutal from what I understand.
And Nurgle's pretty good.
so there's a good selection of teams here. I'm just gonna work from where was I on Dark Elves, I think, because they're fast punchy, right? So
fast punchy.
So I'm gonna pick my team now. I don't know, the stab bromancers. Okay. So, I put the and a space in here, and this spelling. That'll be exactly what you need to put in that sign-up form. This is the only way we can find you on Steam and through the league system in the game itself that we are using. Team motto, we stab a lot. There. And then you pick your icon. Some of these are expansion things, some of them aren't. Sure, that looks stabby. And then you can pick your jerseys. It all changes, whatever. Don't click this button that says custom team, okay? This is to play at different point values, essentially. We're not doing that. We're doing the core amount. So we've got it. We're the Stab Romancers, whatever. I'm going to go next. Pick your home stadium. Stabbo Field, like Lambeau Field. There. Create. Automatic choice of roster. No, thank you. I want to build my own team. All right, so then here you go. You can see this gold value up here in the top right. Everything in your team has a value. So, Frank, what do you do? How do you kind of approach building your roster?
So, my recommendation is whenever you're starting to put a roster together, look at the unique players that you have access to. Some teams have more unique positional players than others. Like to say that any non-lineman player is something you should consider before even purchasing your lineman. You need to have 11 players minimum. So in the case of the Dark Elves, you have like the Witch Elves, the Blitzers, the Assassins, and the Runners. How many of those do you want? Because those are going to really shape how your team plays.
Okay.
Keep that in mind.
So as a for instance, like I know that the Witch Elves are special, so I'm going to grab my Witch Elf. This is where you name them. All right. So I'm going to name her Stab Vira. Okay? This is where you customly name your characters. If you miss this step during the purchase process, you won't be able to have all your witty, awesome puns, which is really one half of why I'm playing it.
It's the most important part of the game.
Right. So I've got Von Killer and Dreadfarv on my team. This is where you custom name them by. So then you can see over here my team roster. I've got one Witch Elf. Now your teams are going to have these sort of amounts that you're allowed to have. So you can only have 2 Witch Elves, 4 Blitzers, 2 Assassins, 2 Runners, and 16 linemen.
Yep.
So
your max number of players is 16. So in theory, if you wanted to just make a lineman team, you could if you wanted. I don't recommend that, but you could.
Right. And then I'm going to grab an Assassin here. Rage Runner, the Assassin, sounds pretty good to me. And heck, why don't I buy a second Assassin? I want to be super killy.
Something to keep in mind when you're making your team is you're going to have to purchase rerolls for your team. Any coaching staff that you might like to have, like a cheerleader or an assistant coach, stuff like that. Team rerolls are very important to have. I would recommend that all players start with at least 2 rerolls. You'll see that later on in the menu.
Right.
Just keep in mind that rerolls during creation are half price. So they're cheaper to get in the beginning and more expensive to get later on once the league actually has begun and you start leveling things up.
Right. So as the league progresses, there are deaths and stuff. You can lose a player permanently in league play. You're going to be constantly sort of replenishing your roster, earning money between weeks and stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. If you face it, fantasy football is socially acceptable Dungeons and Dragons, right? That's what Dungeons and Dragons is socially acceptable Dungeons and Dragons now. But there was a time period where where fantasy football was just the bro Dungeons and Dragons. It's got some of that roster building stuff in here. A player gets injured, you're gonna have to have a deep bench to swap in and out your players. So real quick, I bought a Witch Elf, 2 Assassins, 1 Runner, 1 Lineman. Let's buy that second Witch Elf. See if I can have.
That's expensive. Let's see if you got it.
No. Okay. Fine. I'll buy a second Runner instead. Because they're cheaper. So you notice how they each have their own little special skills. Runners have Dump Off, which I assume is really good at getting rid of the ball.
If you're gonna get sacked while you're holding the ball, you can attempt a short pass. Quick pass, short pass, something like that.
Right. And then one more, we'll go 1 more lineman. So I have 6 my roster. So here we go. I've got to my minimum 11. I've got 1 witch elf, 2 assassins, 2 runners, 6 linemen. Confirm my purchases. This is where you can buy some boons. I'm gonna buy a reroll, and then I'll buy an apothecary. Oh, I can't get an apothecary.
Yeah, they're a little expensive.
I'll grab a assistant coach, I guess. I think I've got 20 fan factor and a cheerleader. There, done. So I had 2 rerolls, some stuff. That's my team. That's it. So this is my team. I'm gonna remember when I fill out that form. Then, use Seahawks colors. So when I fill out that sign up sheet, I'm going to remember like the particulars from here. My coach name up in the top left, which you set up when you over the course of like installing the PC game, and then like the team that you make. Then I'll sign up. I know all my information, and essentially from there, we're going to comb through the sign up sheet, invite you, and then you'll use this play in league thing. You'll see the competition in the league all here. I think we're gonna have spectator mode on, so you'll actually be able to spectate games too, which is pretty sweet. And if not, then we can do it in Discord. So that's pretty good dry run there. I guess the only other thing you'd want to know is up here, your coach's picture is going to default to a derpy human, and humans suck. You're going to want to turn it into an awesome vampire. You go into settings. There's actually a coach's settings, and you can pick your icon for your awesome vampire. I just assume everyone uses the awesome vampire because vampires are awesome. I guess there's a white as well. Whites are cool too.
And a Khemri Tomb King, if you're so inclined.
I mean, if you're exactly Tristan, yeah, you can do the Khemri Tomb King image. Anything I left out? Anything you want to round out? Any bits of advice for folks?
I think that sounds great. I would highly recommend that you play through the tutorial before you start the league. So you've got a week to do that. It takes a little bit to go through. They take you bit by bit, and they teach you a little bit every game. If you want to jump in the fire, I'm sure somebody in our Discord on the Blood Bowl channel would happily show you the ropes. There's a lot of good information out there because the game is so old. A lot of the information can still be applied. Just rule changes here and there are the only things that really deviate. Yeah, there's even like little wikis with suggestions for your starting thousand point teams. So and try them out. You can always play against the AI and see if it's a team you'd like to play. Right, and that's where I'm at right now. I just went into a friendly match. I could brush up and play against Frank right now, and actually later on we're going to record a video. Frank, Brendan, we're going to talk some basics of the game. So I'll have 2 videos on this releasing basically right now. One of them, you can do the online, or you can just go into local to get a feel for your team. So I've got my Screen Bay Hackers over here. I can even play against my Stabromancers. If I want like sort of an equal matchup, then you've got the sort of preset teams in the game already. Panthers. Here we go. Blue Bay Crammers, Halflings. I guess they're gonna job, but I can still learn my fundamentals. Albion Wanderers. There you go. Human team. So you can just play your friendly game, have them AI, play against that, brush up, learn your fundamentals, get them down. You have a week to get signed up, a week to practice, a week to make it through the tutorial. If you want to play the tutorial, it's in the campaign. It eases you into the rules of the game. Honestly, it does it a little backwards. It was useful for me because I'm good at parsing information and taking it all in and then internalizing it. But it was weird because at first you play out without any risks. Risks are a huge part of this game, it's weird. Like the Kids Glove has come off partially, I think about like 6 or 7 games into the campaign. Something like that. Yeah, it's a lot of when you're playing the real game because they're like all the rules are into the game. Around the time you get your star player, I think you're playing the full game. So, I guess that's it. Everyone, thank you for watching. Keep in mind there'll be another video on actual playing Blood Bowl for our league purposes coming out shortly. Frank, thanks for hanging out with me, man. Of course. All right, take care, everybody.